You've just finished cleaning and tidying up your kitchen, and in walks your child or your partner and dumps their stuff everywhere. You can feel your frustration and anger rising. In fact, you are feeling triggered with a capital T. So if clutter and mess have you feeling triggered, you are not alone. In fact, I recently polled my Instagram audience of about 100,000 people, and a whopping 89% of them said they feel triggered by mess on a daily basis. So these feelings are completely common and luckily can be dealt with. So let's dive in. But first, I'm going to say something a little bit crazy, and that is that mess is a normal part of life. I repeat, mess is a normal part of life. I don't care if you are Joanna Gaines or Oprah or anybody, is that mess happens to everyone and in everyone's home. But the thing is, when we spend time on social media or watching these home makeover shows or spend time on Pinterest and we're looking at all these perfectly curated after pictures and beautiful homes, a lot of us end up comparing our homes and our mess and our clutter to these perfectly tidy ones. And it doesn't take long for our minds to be like looking around our house, looking at our mess and clutter and going, well, you're not measuring up. Why is your home a mess? And that leads to just a constant barragement of beating ourselves up when we are comparing our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. So yes, mess is normal. Even though we understand mess is going to happen, it can still be triggering. We're going to be talking more about that, but it's just important to understand that mess happens to everyone, no matter what story you see on social media. And I wholeheartedly get it. Clutter or just an expected mess can be so triggering. In fact, I remember years ago, I felt like two different moms. I felt like a happy-go-lucky mom when I was out of the house with my kids, running errands or at the park, or doing any activity basically outside of my home. And then when we walked through the threshold of our front door, I immediately turned into like She-Hulk. I was angry, I was frustrated. All I saw everywhere was mess, to-dos, chores, clutter, and it was this intense frustration. And all of a sudden, I wasn't that happy-go-lucky mom who was in a good mood. I was like She-Hulk. And it was because I was triggered by the mess. So let me know if you've ever felt this way in the comments. And the fact is, it's not fun for anybody to be constantly reminded that there is more to be done. And did you know that that's actually, in a nutshell, what clutter and even expected mess does to our brains? Imagine sitting down on the couch after a really long day. You're ready to kick your feet up. You're exhausted. You're just ready to sit, relax, sit with your thoughts for a minute. Now imagine your partner or your child walks into the living room where you're sitting and goes, what are you doing? Get up. There's more to be done, right? This like frantic energy, like go, go, go. You got to get back up. Clutter and mess do the same thing. So just like you probably wouldn't respond super well to your partner or your child saying that to you when you're trying to relax, we're equally as frustrated when we see mess and clutter. And we can also feel this huge emotional and mental burden and toll when it comes to mess and clutter. Cue frustration, shame, resentment, anger, and like I mentioned earlier, being two different people, one outside your home and one inside your home. And also for any perfectionists out there, mess might be triggering for you because you're not just seeing a messy home, but for a lot of perfectionists, we actually get our identities wrapped up in the outcome. And so if the outcome is a constantly messy home, no matter what we do, we don't necessarily see that as failing. We see ourselves as failures. And that nuance in language and how we think about the situation and ourselves actually makes it even harder to take action. It makes it a lot easier to procrastinate because we don't want to continuously stay on this cycle of failing and mess. So the next time you walk through your front door and instantly panic, or like me, maybe you turn into She-Hulk or He-Hulk, here are 5 tips that I swear by. Number 1 is to pause and take a deep breath. Serenity now, right?
Serenity now!
Remember that your home is not a reflection of you. Your family's mess, clutter, your own mess, and your own clutter, none of it defines who you are. And it's important when you are taking that deep breath and pausing to just take a second and tune into those thoughts. What are those narratives that are running through your mind when you're feeling triggered? So oftentimes, if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of those thoughts are actually rooted in fear, shame, or even resentment toward our family members or even ourselves. Or maybe those thoughts are literally just blaming your family. If it weren't for my family, I could keep a tidy home. Or why are they so ungrateful that they just can't follow through and put their things away or clean up their mess, right? So those types of thoughts tend to put us into more of like a victim mentality, which guess what that does? It makes us harder to take action because we're pointing our finger. Now, I'm not saying that your family shouldn't be responsible for managing their own stuff, but if you are the spearhead of decluttering and keeping up with your home and your family, sometimes that's just an extra role we need to take on to teach our kids and our partners these life skills, like putting things away and clearing out their clutter. This is where regular, consistent discussions with your family members and also boundary setting and expectation setting and just general discussions around that topic can be really helpful. And also doing those not in the heat of the moment. All right. Do those at maybe weekly check-ins or family meetings when you're even playing a board game. The idea is it shouldn't always be brought up that you're frustrated with your home when you're in a reactive state. Maybe when you walk into your home, you think something like, oh, this house is a mess. I'm so sick of this. Like, why can't I just handle this? I stink at keeping up with the house. I'm really frustrated. And here's what I want to say, right? You hear me say often, be gentle on yourself, give yourself compassion, but decluttering and keeping up with the home is really darn hard. For 99.9% of people, decluttering and just keeping up with the home does not come naturally. And it was also really hard for me too in the beginning, but it doesn't mean it's not worth doing, that it's not worth taking action, and that it's not worth trying for. Okay, so you've paused. You've taken a deep breath, you tuned into your thoughts. Now I want you with objectivity, not shame and blame, to ask yourself, what systems and habits can my family and I all do to improve the situation? Does that look like regular decluttering? Has decluttering not happened in 6 months? Maybe we just need to be more consistent. Maybe it's toy mess for you. If you are tired of toys landing in every single room all over your home and it always lands on your shoulders to clean up at the end of the day, maybe decluttering toys or implementing something like toy rotation could be really beneficial for you and your family. And by the way, if you need a kid-tested, very simply laid out step-by-step process on how to declutter and implement toy rotation, and once you get results in that area, how to also keep that toy mess away, go check out my toy clutter course. I will throw that link underneath the video for you. Maybe in your family, you're looking around the mess right now and you're recognizing it's not necessarily a clutter problem. This is just expected mess. And my family's really struggling with putting things where they belong. So asking yourself, are there actually designated homes for the stuff that's not landing where I want it to? If there are homes, why is stuff tending to land and where it doesn't belong? Is it a bad habit? We need to start doing daily resets. Like, what is it? And getting to the heart of the matter, and instead of just constantly staying frustrated and triggered. And so if your partner or kids have been resistant in the past to helping tidy up once, twice, 3 times a day, it doesn't matter, put their things away. One thing we do in these daily resets is we made a family playlist of some of our favorite songs that takes like maybe 5 to 10 minutes worth of songs. So just a few really. And we play that anytime my kids are feeling maybe digging their heels in a little bit. It doesn't happen much, but right, we're all human. We don't always want to do a daily reset and pick up at the end of the day. So throw on some of your favorite tunes and I promise it'll help. And number 4 is to continue to come up with solutions, right? Oftentimes when we're triggered, we're not necessarily in a mindset to come up with a solution. We want to point fingers, we want to be frustrated, we want to be passive aggressive and huff and puff and walk around the house slamming doors. But let's come up with some solutions to limit the amount that this happens and just try and correct the problem, right? Remember that plans don't change lives, actions and habits do. And that's what number 5 is. It's to take action. Start having conversations with your family. Schedule 10 minutes a day on your calendar. Get your kids involved. Teach them how to declutter. Walk them through the process of decluttering. Typically, and instead of decluttering their toys or their stuff first, have them sit with you in a neutral spot in your home where they don't really care what you keep and get rid of. Maybe it's kitchen appliances or maybe it's in your wardrobe. Invite them in. Talk them through the process of how you're deciding what to keep and what not to keep. You'd be really surprised at how quickly kids pick up on this stuff. But if it's not modeled for them, it's very hard for them to decide, do I keep this or do I not keep it, especially if they're young. And always remind yourself of the power of the pause, right? Even if we make plans and they don't play out perfectly, remember perfection is not the end goal. And so sometimes just focusing on getting 1% better every day and really turning a lot of these actions that you want to happen into habits for both you and your family, it's going to make a world of difference. All right, so you can finally breathe again, even if there is a little bit of mess or clutter, because now you've got a plan in place. But maybe on that journey, you need help tackling some of those problem areas. Have you seen these viral organization trends? Make sure to watch the video on your screen before you do anything else.